Welcome back to Words in the Chinese News. Today is the third video and final video on the Paris attacks / G20 summit. Before we have a look at the Xinhua News Agency news, I just want to point out here YouTube, the French flag. The French flag. 1 week ago, if I saw the French flag, I thought of things like croissants and the Eiffel Tower, obviously positive things. But having analysed some of the articles from the past few days, now when I see the French flag, I think of very negative things like terrorists and deaths and wars and things like that. So in terms, at least for me, the news has really achieved a negative mindset in my brain when it comes to this situation. So let's have a look at what's happening on the Xinhua. G20, the same picture as we saw in the last video. How many of these pictures are devoted to the G20? 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's a new picture there. We can have a quick look at that. It's the President of China and the President of Russia meeting together. And on the front page here, there's actually an article that's linked to this here. And here you can read about the meeting of the two presidents there. What I actually did was I took the first paragraph and I put it into Google Translate. Like that there. Got the English and copied the English and then put it on a document, and then I just took out the main verbs, the main actions, to have a linguistic analysis of this. So China and Russia are to cooperate. It's very positive. It matches the positive picture. Promote, strengthen, safeguard, promote, improve, explore, probably should be yellow there. Extremely positive actions, all of them there. And then how do they describe these actions? You got closely, a wide range, comprehensive, encouraging, the fruits of victory, more just and equitable. So what's in the Chinese news? It's the G20 conference, and it's about positive relationships between different countries in this conference. Has Paris gone off these pictures? The renminbi, very big day for the renminbi. Something there about the health. There's a fish in the ocean. A girl looking at her phone, and it does appear that it is now no longer in the front page news in the Xinhua News Agency news, a few days after the attack. So let's compare with the other newspapers. Let's see what's on the front page of the New York Times. France strikes ISIS in Syria, retaliation, Paris attacks, aggressive strikes, raid destroyed, killed 129 people. Vigil for US victims of attacks. And here's very interesting, this one for me here. What will come after Paris? So it's a question. Nations around the world must, and we saw this in the last video, this very strong must. It's telling people what they need to do. Nations around the world must coordinate goals. Nothing at all in here about this here. So I'm not sure which nations they're talking about. Strategies to defeat, and this is incredibly interesting, the murderous scourge of ISIS. So they didn't say to defeat ISIS, they said the murderous scourge. So they're creating a lot of negativity about this, a lot of negativity. And I wrote some of the words here: victims, attack, terrorists, fight, defend, raids, Islamic militants. And then we have it, the murderous scourge of ISIS. So if we compare things like murderous scourge with cooperate closely, we can see quite a different story of positivity and negativity in general emerging here. Let's check out The Guardian. Maybe it's a bit different. Nope, same story. 3 days on, biggest news. You can see here there is a G20 picture, so let's click on that. That's the G20. But once again, we can compromise with Russia to end the Syrian war. So it's not actually about the G20 there. So they do have a picture connected with the G20, but the story is once again about war. It's dominating there. Our last hope of the 3 newspapers we look at, the Sydney Morning Herald. Come on. Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. Military force will not defeat the jihadis. The bitter truth is Western policy have simply created more terrorists. So this is an analysis. It's not saying what we must do. This is analysing what happened in the past and how it resulted in the current situation. Very strange, to be honest with you, for the Sydney Morning Herald. And then here it is. It's cricket. And below that it's cricket, and to the right you've got sport. And I think this is a little bit more typical of the Sydney Morning Herald. Stuff about cricket, sport, some person calling himself an idiot. And at last it seems to have stopped dominating the Australian news. But unfortunately now I think most people in Australia, if they see a French flag, they just have all these really negative associations. Whereas anyone who's been watching or reading the Xinhua, just the front page, what they can see, it's all about the G20 really. So very interesting contrast in these 3 days between what different people in different countries are seeing if they are logging on to the front page of main newspapers in their country.